Well, now, if there is something that is very important and vital is to understand your numbers, all right? And today I'm taking you through, if you earn yourself less than 85K, there are some of the 4 things that you're supposed to stay away from it. You know why? I have this experience. I've actually received a lot of calls from guys who are telling me they're earning a good amount of money, way above 60,000, but they're struggling to make the ends meet. And when I find out what are the reasons, I realize there are some of the decisions that they make in terms of expenditure that is actually putting them in the ditch that they are right now. So go with me step by step. I take you through the things that you're not supposed to do if you're earning yourself a salary that is way below 85,000. But if you're earning above 85,000, still we can have a conversation over the same. All right, so let's get into today's business. All right, now the very first thing that you're supposed to stay away with is to pay a house rent that is above 20,000 Kenyan shillings. And I know you're asking yourself, okay, fine, what do we do exactly? There's something that you're supposed to understand. If you go by the rule says that you're not supposed to pay over 30% of your total income towards you paying your house rent. What exactly is that payment? I know basically 30% of 85,000 is way above 20,000, but there is something. I told you one thing. When it comes to saving and storing money for the purposes of investing in future, you cannot have a surplus, or there is not any income you'll ever get in this world that have its own surplus. What we do is that we create the surplus, we save that surplus, we invest the surplus, and the surplus makes us what we call the passive income. So if you get yourself paying a house rent way above this amount of money, and probably you find these guys, they do not have like an outrageous amount of people in terms of their family, the nuclear family. So getting this amount of money in terms of your house rent, this can actually be detrimental to you growing your money in the future. All right, so stay away from this amount of money that's way above this. If you can pay your house rent like 19,000 to 20,000, well and good. But if it's above 20,000, probably you hear some people pay around a rent close to 25,000, even up to 30,000 Kenyan shillings, and you have your salary way below 85,000 Kenyan shillings. That is actually shooting your foot. But before you make a decision of where you're supposed to go and rent and pay your house rent, there's some things that you're supposed to consider. You may pay a house rent that is quite a bit expensive, but you're saving on the transport. So you have to compare those two things so that you see if you paying a cheaper house rent means that you have to pay above, you have to pay, sort of an expensive transport, or is you paying, an expensive house actually saves you on the transport. You have to compare and contrast those two aspects to see what exactly fits for you. The next thing is that you're supposed to stay about, and I know this is an emotive issue one. Okay, I have to give you a disclaimer. I know this one might have a lot of guys who are contesting about it. You're not supposed to pay over 30,000 Kenyan shillings toward your school fees. I had a client on board some days back when they told me that, hey, I'm earning myself like 55,000 and I'm paying 30,000 school fees. And I was like, what? And the reason behind it, they say, hey, I want to give my kid the best quality of education. And I'm wondering, yeah, I believe every parent that is out there would love to get their kids the best school fees and all the best schools and what have you. But sometimes let this not be an emotive issue. Let it not be more emotional than it is logical. It is good to reason about it because, hey, guess what? These kids not only need to go to school, but as well, they need to be catered for other things that surrounds you: food, shelter, clothing, and all those kind of things. Entertainment also included. So you paying or punching above your weight, paying this amount of money towards your school fees can be a little bit outrageous. When I say 30,000, I mean like you saving like each in every month 30, that makes like 90,000. That's quite a lot of money because at the end of the day, school fees is usually paid in a period of 3 months. So if you set aside like 30, that is 90,000. So unless maybe you have a kid in university, that one is a quite understandable. Bearing in mind, by the way, right now the government has actually increased the amount of school fees that people are supposed to pay in the university. So you got to be very, very, very careful. You don't get yourself into problems because, yeah, I understand a lot of people tend to pay this amount of money towards their school fees. And if you do not have any option, then it's okay, you can go ahead. But if you do have an option, try to minimize this actually amount of money. Otherwise, if you continue with this trend, can you imagine this? You have yourself way less than 85. Let's even say you earn that 85,000. 85,000, you get away 30,000 out of it. We are talking about 55,000. You pay yourself, let's say, 25,000 school fees. We are talking about 20-something thousand. You do the food and all those kind of things. You're left with nothing. Probably in the middle of that specific month, you are forced to go ahead and borrow for you to sustain what we call the normal day activities of your life. So it is very, 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 very vital and important to make sure that you take care. You don't channel all your money towards these kind of things. All right, let's go to the point number 3. You're not supposed to pay over 12K above on the black tax. This is a thing that I also realize it's quite a popular thing out there, especially with Kenyans, and not only Kenyans, but again with Africa. And you find there is this thing called black tax. Be it either helping your parents, be it either helping your siblings and what have you, which is an amazing thing. It's a good thing. Personally, I love it. I advocate for it. But one thing that you're supposed to understand, of course, you have to put a cap on that. I do have an experience whereby I have received a lot of calls from guys who work from diaspora, and they're sending money back home. And they come to a point whereby they tell me, hey, you know what? All my salary is actually getting drained by my family members. And you ask them what exactly happens. I have to educate my brothers, I have to educate my sisters. I know I've been assigned some activities to build my mom's house, my parents, and what have you, which is an amazing thing, which is a very good thing. I agree, and that's no problem with that. But the point is this: where the problem comes in is whereby you realize that you're actually doing this to a point whereby you can't even sustain your life, and you can't even do the things that you actually do in a normal, typical day. So be very careful before you do these things. It's good to pay the black tax. It's good to support your family members, but again, be very careful so you don't get yourself in a situation whereby you cannot even manage to actually go ahead and support your own born kids, to give them the quality, be it either life or education or whichever the kind of a support that you love to give them. And this is the reason of why you find most of the family members, they have what we call a generational poverty. What exactly does it mean? You find like you youth there, instead of you helping your kids to give them the best quality of education, you're helping or you're educating your brothers because that duty has been assigned to you by your mother or your parents or whatever. And then there you are, you don't give quality of education, so probably your kids won't get the best life. So and then once whatever they get that little, they'll be forced to help you because you never help yourself because you're helping your brothers and all those kind of things. So you can just imagine how that chain will be, and it actually turns out to be one of the most dangerous thing in this life that you're living in. It's quite popular in African society, in African setup, whereby we are so much, or we are very social to each other, but can be very, very dangerous in your life. So anyway, be careful on that. And I usually suggest, usually have a certain budget that you can actually set aside. And this is what I will always tell people: you may never know when the call will come when they want you to help them. So it is good to always have a cap. It's good to make sure that, hey, back at your mind, you say, hey, I always have 8K at my disposal. That is the amount of money maximally I can actually send them in a typical month, rather than just leaving that specific thing open, whereby you can even get yourself sending way ups of even 30 or 40,000 to them in the name of helping them, which is very good, but can also be detrimental to your health or to your development. All right. And the last one, but not the least, is that paying 20K and above for your car loan. This is where actually I get a lot of anger, and become sometimes so much thorny issue, because you find somebody, hey, they say like they just want to have a car. They have a dream of getting a car, which is an amazing thing. And this is actually a problem with millennials and the Generation Z. You find these generations, they are kind of so much attached to the liabilities more than they're attached to the assets. So you find somebody has their salary made, let's say like 60, 70,000, or even that 85K. And these guys have actually gone ahead and gotten their car. This car is not used for job. This car is just for their own transport. This car is not generating anything, and they're servicing a loan of 25,000 each and every month, because maybe they got a car maybe worth 2 million, and they have to service that loan continuously for the specified period of time, and they have to be setting aside 25,000 Kenyan shillings. And you wonder, fine, there's no problem with getting a car loan, provided it's a car that you use it to do your job. But this is a car that you just get in the morning, go to the job, you park it, get it the evening, go back to the job, or rather go back to your home and pack it up. That car doesn't generate anything, and it's actually a liability. And this is where the problem comes in. But before you say anything and say, hey, you know what, I have a dream of having a car, that's amazing. Before it even becomes an emotive issue, it's good to reason out, it's good to be smart. One thing that you're supposed to understand when it comes to money, you have to know one thing. There are things we call them the liabilities, there are things that we call the assets. The liabilities take money out of your pocket, and the asset actually gets money into your pocket. So you have to differentiate those two terms. Otherwise, you can get yourself into the confusion, and you can be one of the people who complains, hey, hey, the amount of money that I get is not enough and what have you, all those kind of things. So it is good to be very, very careful. Otherwise, you don't get yourself into the problems. What I would suggest is this. If maybe, let's say you want to get into the Uber business, all right? Because that can be a good example. Say you want to get into the Uber business and you do not have the cash money to buy that car in cash. You can go ahead and get the loan car. Now, that one, if you service with your loan, which I do not advocate you servicing it with your salary, you can actually, the car itself can pay itself. That would be an amazing thing. That's an amazing idea. There is no problem with buying a car before buying a land or buying a house. There's no problem with that, provided that car you use it to generate more money. That car, as much as they may be perceived as a liability, you can use that liability to actually make you money. For example, I've taken an example of an Uber, taken an example of a matatu, taken an example of such kind of things, or transport issues and such kind of things. But if you're just overly taking that car for the purposes of transport and for your own transport and what have you, and you're thinking maybe you're saving more money and such, yeah, I know maybe probably this information will be told by those guys who are selling cars, because hey, at the end of the day, they want to sell you cars, not really save money from your pocket. And you have to understand, all right? You have to be very, very careful. Anyway, guys, guess what? I always post a video each and every day talking about investment, making money, be it in the online, conventional way, businesses, and all those kind of things, all right? If you don't want to miss any good of my videos in the future, take 1 second, doesn't cost you anything. Down below there on your right, hit that subscription button, like this video, and make sure that you as well comment down below so what you think. And you can as well grab my number from the description of this video, give me a call or text. You get your booklet about investments, shares, money market fund, treasury bills, and what have you, or even conventional businesses, like the business plans of any given business that you love to get started. Anyway, for now, guys, it's a goodbye, but don't forget, stay around for the next one.